Hello, everyone. So as you guys are probably aware, my name is Ken Quigley from Keystroke, and we're going to be covering a few things today. Nick has asked me to cover the ACT add-on shop, which you guys will be taking management of on November 1st. So the first thing that I was asked to explain is just general navigation, how to find things, the different search tools that are within it. And we've actually, Nick, in preparation for today, I talked to Josh yesterday, and we've added many of his products to this as well from Act Today. So we've added about, I think, at least 8 products from there as well. So he's excited about getting on board with this. But I think this initial orientation is going to give you the tools to just quickly answer some objection handling questions that you're going to get from customers as to whether or not, the probably the richest CRM ecosystem out there for add-ons, has a product that can support their needs. So the first thing is actaddons.net. That is a branding that we adopted last year. Prior to that, it was actaddonshop.com. But that's the branding, your one-stop add-on shop. And the simple, if you just scroll down, this particular thing is just a little feature thing that we've got toggling through based on the featured products of the month. Then we've got the ACT add-on conference. If you have not registered for this, I strongly recommend that you do. There will be a full day of presentations. Here's the speakers list, and you can even learn more about some of the products from the biggest add-on developers in the market. Go back here, scroll down. This is where you run into the first set of searches, okay, or ways of finding the different products. So the first one, obviously, search by category. And what we've done is we've created kind of a brief hot list of what we think are going to be the most popular. So accounting and finance, automation, companies and groups, data management, email, freebies. I strongly recommend that you guys familiarize yourself with freebies. The Keystroke Welcome Kit has about 10 different applications in one. And a lot of them are great opportunity tools that your customers might be interested in. Layout and design, mobility, project management, quoting and proposals, reporting, SaaS compatible. SaaS compatible basically means API. Okay, so these are tools that can function through the API, making a connection through the API, or the API and the SDK. Now, if you guys are not super familiar with terms like SDK, which stands for Software Development Kit, or API, here's a simple way of understanding the two. API products make hits to the data. Okay, so when you use an API product, you're making a call to the data and it's returning it and being rendered in some way by the add-on. Okay, whereas SDK will typically change the look and feel and function of the program. Okay, so you're going to see buttons with SDK products. You're going to see overlays with SDK products. And to give you an example, I'll bring over my database. Okay, so here is my database. Okay, when you see toolbars like this going across, these are all Q sales toolbars. Any kind of toolbar is always going to be SDK, because what it's done is it's loaded a DLL directly into the plugins or the tools folder, and it's changing the look of the program. Seeing little functions like this, other options like create quote, timed history, primary, calculator, things like that. All of those are SDK programs. What I'm going to show you with Linktivity, okay, it is a data related program. So it's providing an interface outside of ACT that is connecting to the data and updating that data and rendering that data, but it's not changing the look of ACT in any way. So does that make sense? Okay. So those are the two main categories. And when we're going to be doing the add-on conference on the October 5th, I'm going to be introducing every single program as either an API product, an SDK product, or as in some cases with ours, it can connect both ways. Okay, so that's an important thing when you're asked. If you hear SDK, basically it means no web. Okay, it's working with the Windows program only. If you hear API, it could work with both. It could work with like Act Premium Cloud, or it can work with a premium product that's got the API set up. Okay, so enough of that. So you've got all of these. I strongly recommend that you tool around here, get a little familiar with the different options. You'll see this little form here, let us know. This is actually a Linktivity product, okay? And because I'm in sales and I like to self-promote shamelessly, it even has a little thing powered by Linktivity here, okay? And then more Linktivity. So scrolling down, then you've got, this is what we call it, I think it's called like a super search bar. And what that means is if you have an inkling of the product name, okay, even if it's not close, you can type in a few letters and it will show you all the search results. So let's just say auto, and it's going to show you everything with auto, the notifier, which is has a lot of automation in it, automator for Act, sales automations, mail manager for Act, which has notifier in it, and then again, sales automation manager, okay, otherwise known as SAM, okay? So that's an easy way if you want to do a product specific search, and then you're going to see that each one of these buttons are representing, a different panel. And if you just scroll down, okay, you'll be able to, actually, no, I think it just works by the radio buttons. Okay, any questions on that? That's all straightforward? Okay, the next is filtering, okay? This is more of, I have no idea what I'm looking for, but I know what I need, okay? So in this case, I'm gonna say category. I can scroll down. Okay, industry, scroll down. Not liking how this is rendering an edge. May have to get the guys to look at that. Okay, platform, Windows, web, or compatibility. Clearly, we want to know is something compatible with ActiveV24. Okay, because a lot of the people, like one of the things that we make the publishers do is list which versions they're compatible with. And it's important. I had someone that actually bought an add-on. We got notified of the sale, and the publisher quickly notified the customer, sorry, it doesn't work with V24. Okay, well, that's just lazy. Okay, so we try to push them to update their product information as much as possible to avoid wasted time. Okay, so that's the way where you can go by filters, and that's useful if you just, as I said, you're just looking to find something based on what your needs are. Okay, is it show me all the add-ons for the platform? I've heard good things about a particular developer, industry, so on and so forth. Okay, however, these are all broad kind of suggested categories. At the very top, we've got search by. Okay, and this search by allows you to go click on category, industry, develop, or featured products. The featured products are what you're seeing toggling across the top. But if we go by category, we're going to see a much more exhaustive list. Okay, and you guys can all read, so I'm not going to, drill into any of these in any detail. But for instance, let's say that you had a customer that was wanting to implement some level of workflow technology. So you'd click on automation, and you can quickly see all the different programs that are available. Sales automation, the notifier, fetch it, not super familiar. Just be mindful that anything from CRM add-on is based in Germany, okay, and always be mindful that there may be support issues there, okay. Here's our product, and you got the notifier there, and that's another one of our products, and then I see that that Josh has got this added in as well, okay. So then you can kind of determine based on what you learn from each of them if this is going to suit your customer needs. Okay. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay. So let's go back up to the top. Okay, so I've been told that that Steve's team is going to be, Steve Martin is going to be reskinning this. So I would say by the time November 1st rolls around, it's going to be on act.com / I believe marketplace, or it may be a redirect to this domain. I'm turning over all the domains to them, so I'll leave them in terms of how they wish to surface it, but I do know that it will be reskinned to be a little bit more consistent with the current act look. Okay, so question, do customers get support with these? Very good question. That is basically dependent on each vendor, okay? When I list a product, I always list it. So let's go to, say, one of my products here. Okay, automation, go to the notifier. Okay. Okay, this is bundled. Okay. We may have it set up a little bit differently on this than we do on our own site. Just going to go over to my own site here. It's a good question. On our site, we divide all products into 2 variants. Okay, and I'll just show you what that looks like. And I'm going to strongly suggest that you guys, or when I say you guys, Steve's team, implement the same thing. Okay, and that is that, of course, I could pick the one product that doesn't have that. Let's go with for Outlook. Okay, and that is do it yourself and then with setup support. Okay, now why do I divide this product into the 2 variants? And by the way, variants, or the term characteristic, is a web shopping cart term, which basically means that you can divide one product into 2 or more different ways of purchasing. What we do is we say this is do it yourself or with setup, and you click on with setup support, and that increases the price. Okay, now the reason that we do this is for 2 reasons. Not because we want to make the extra money. It's that, to answer your question, we like to convey to people that when they buy a product, that they're making the choice in terms of this setup that they want. Okay, if someone purchases, and I hate to sound too much like a retail guy, but if someone spends $35.95, me as the owner of the company with 30 employees, I really don't want to be going to them and explaining to them that they're not getting 3 hours worth of free support to help them get to use this program. Okay, I'm guessing, and I'm going to suggest that all the products have variants that go along this, that follow this kind of format after you guys take it over, to again control the expectations of the purchasers. Because you guys, how many times have you guys sold Act Pro and have the customer expect, when are you going to install it on my computer? When are you going to teach me how to use it? So this allows them to kind of better control expectation at the pre-purchase point. Okay, I see.
Can someone go back and purchase the support after they maybe
Yes.
fumble the DIY? Okay.
Yes, and it also, the nice thing about this, because again, as some of you guys may have heard, I am a capitalist. We always set it up so the cheapest way that you can buy support is with setup assistance. If you buy it afterwards, it's going to cost you a little bit more. So we want people to buy it at that time. Okay, so even when we sell Act Pro, okay, we sell it with setup assistance for $50, but if you buy it with after the fact, it's going to cost you $85. Okay.
So this Outlook product that we're seeing here, that's annual, or it's a one-time?
It will always say, if looking at our product and looking at the Act Marketplace, it should say right beside it.
Oh, each.
Each. Okay, which means it's per activation. Okay, and generally there are very, very few products, because we sell a syncing product. There are very few products that are sold on a per user basis. And in fact, the only one that we sell is the tables product that both of us sell. Okay. And it's so complicated, it actually requires a separate licensing, because almost every single add-on license is based on per activation. And what that means is every time you install it. Okay. In a terminal services environment or a shared network environment, it's per profile. Okay. And most of the licensing tools out there will support per activation or per profile. Okay. So this particular product, if you see each there, then that means it's per activation. If you see per year, it means that. Okay. Good question.
Thanks. Wasn't expecting that thorough of an answer. That was great.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, and I don't mean this to come across in a patronizing way, but I've been told that you guys really aren't super familiar with the add-on world. So I'm trying to anticipate and answer the questions that you asked, and some that I think that will come in short order. So I may err on the side of over answering your questions, and if I miss, then please let me know and I'll take another swing. Okay, but that is generally the rule. And I also kind of want to give you some background in terms of not just the products, but every single time you sell a product, just like you, is that per year? Is that per user? Is that per activation? You've got to kind of understand what their expectations are and also how to set expectations. 99% of the programs out there that are one-time costs are per activation. 99% of the programs that are on a subscription are per activation. Okay. Act is a little different in that it's per user. And because of that, the licensing is dramatically more complex, which is why you have to add in activation restraints as well. Okay, so you buy 5 licenses, but you only get 10 plus 1 activations. Okay, so the per user model requires a lot more complexity for enforcement purposes. So most of the resellers out there, they don't have the ability to support one or both. So they'll say, yes, subscription or add-on, it's based on per activation. And most of them, including us, will be able to release activations if customers lose access to their computer. Okay. Now, Nick, how is that so far, just covering kind of the add-on front?
Yeah, so I want to preface that, and Ken, you kind of warned me on this, is like going into the weeds of some of these products and having a true understanding of a lot of these to pitch them on an individualized basis is going to take a lot of time, and that's
Yeah.
not what we're asking for from the group here. We are wanting we want to convey that this marketplace exists, that if there are challengers or integrations that are special or need to haves from a prospect's standpoint,
Mhm.
there's this gigantic marketplace where a lot of their answers or questions can likely be answered. So I just want to preface that this is not an intention, because obviously you've seen how vast this is. It's not our
Mhm.
intention to kind of overwhelm you with all these things. It's to point out that this exists, that when you're pitching a customer, you can kind of show this off. You can do it in a broad strokes thing, and it's going to have a ton of impact that this kind of resource exists for them moving forward. So I just wanted to preface that because I intentionally, at first I was like, hey, Ken, let's go into the details here. And he's like, there's too many details to go
No,
into.
yeah.
But
And
I will
it's
I
gonna be
will say
overwhelming.
he is going to show us a really cool one, Linktivity.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's where you're segueing right now, but
Yeah,
um,
I'm gonna segue into that next, but I want to just kind of respond to what you're saying, because
yeah,
that's spot on. You'll notice that I'm not talking about any particular product, okay, at all. They're through this whole Act add-on shop demonstration, I'm not focusing on any product. I haven't talked about the features of any product. What I've covered is how to find products, okay, the general orientation of the program, and what you need to know if you're going to talk to people about add-ons. You're going to need to know the 2 categories, as I discussed, API and SDK. You need to understand what are eligible for each. If you get someone all excited about Q sales, okay, which is one of our products, which you guys have probably heard about, okay, and they're an APC customer, okay, all web, you're going to look like an idiot, okay, because you've really got them excited about a product that isn't compatible with their platform. Okay, so that's why you have to understand the difference between API and SDK. API is going to work on almost anything. Okay, it's relating to data. It's going to fetch data. It's going to render data, but it will not change the look of the ACT program, regardless of what platform it's on. SDK, you're going to hear SDK products for verticals, okay, so wealth management programs, sales programs, the mortgage brokers, real estate agents, health professionals, all of those, because it changes the look. Just like I showed you on my program, QuickBooks, or Q sales changes the looks, adds different buttons and functions within the program itself. That can only be done through the SDK, okay, through a direct connection, basically what's called loading DLLs, okay, as ACT itself loads, okay? And Nick, that's as deep into the weeds as I'm gonna get, because I'm sure once you heard me say DLLs, you started to get worried. Okay, so let's.
Ken, one last thing. If there was, you showed me like there's, and I'm forgetting which one it was. This is like the most popular product there is. Is there like when your team is pitching, is there something that's just always top of mind for them that's almost like a need to have add-on that's
Okay,
super beneficial?
so I can tell you the easiest ones. Um, I don't think you guys need me to tell you that one of the biggest call drivers is Outlook integration. Okay, biggest pain point is Outlook integration. So I will give you a 30-second history that about 5 years ago, it was actually, believe it or not, worse. Okay, Microsoft had released a number of Office updates that flat out broke the Outlook integration. Okay, if you clicked on email, it would crash the whole program. Okay, so what we did is we developed a program that I displayed earlier called Act for Outlook. Okay, if we are selling to any Windows Act client, Pro, Premium, or whatnot, we're always including Act for Outlook. I had a guy recently, and I'm not going to get into the details of this because it's so absurd. He actually got angry with us for not suggesting in the quote that he had that we didn't include Act for Outlook, and literally forwarded me his IT bill, thinking that I should pay it because we didn't suggest Act for Outlook. Okay, you could probably anticipate the outcome there. So if it's a Windows client using the Windows version of ACT, ACT for Outlook is a one-time expense of $36, and we priced it that way. And we tell people, you're likely going to have Outlook integrations. If you spend 15 minutes of our support, it's going to cost you more than 36 bucks. Let's do this, buy it. It not only fixes the problem, okay, it actually allows you to have more features. Now, I'll give you an example. I'll move over here. Okay, here's a guy that you probably recognize, Will Ingleby. If I right click, I can send this to ACT. I can create the contact. I can create activity. But most importantly, I can go to the contact. Okay, I would say how many times a day I'll get an email and I have to follow up with the contact directly. Okay, so I can then go and that automatically goes. Okay, I probably have them under a different email. Okay, or I can just quickly go, create contact. Some of these functions exist, but others don't. Okay, and then when you get into things like the calendar, okay, I can select, right click, okay, send activity to ACT. I can go into the contacts, select, right click, send contact to ACT. Okay, and I can select more than one of each. So I can select the whole address book, or I can select all the activities. Okay, Okay. Right click and send activities to Act. Okay, so this was a program that we developed. We priced it as kind of an apology. Sorry you have to buy this. At present, we're somewhere between 7,000 and 8,000 licenses sold. Okay, so it works really, really well. Okay, if you're dealing with a customer that is using, oh, and by the way, this works with the installed version of Act and the installed version of Outlook. Okay, if you have someone using an installed version of Outlook and they have APC, okay, so they've got a hosted database and they don't have the Windows client, then we have a program called Act for Mail that provides almost all the functionality of Act for Outlook. Okay, and I'll just quickly show you this. Scroll down, show you how this works. Act for Mail, here it is. And this Act for Mail, okay, is $36 a year, okay, and it gives them all the functionality without having Act installed. Okay, so to answer your question, Nick, this is always, a club in our bag that we pitch people with. And for the predictable reason that if they set it up, we know that within the first few weeks, they're going to say they're going to have some kind of complaint about Outlook integration. Okay, we just bypass that up front. We say, look, we're not confident in the Outlook integration. If you call us up 3 weeks from now and tell us it sucks, we told you first. Okay, so spend the $35. Let's move on. Okay, they have a better experience and the product and better adoptions and better stickiness. Okay. So just to answer your question, is I don't really want to get super into the weeds on any particular product before we get into Linktivity, but that's something that we quote pretty much every single time. Okay. Any questions from the others? Okay. So let's get into something really exciting.
Hey, sorry, Ken.
Yeah.
The Act add-on. Emily had a question on the Act add-on phone number. Who does that go to currently?
It goes to us.
Okay.
Yep.
And so if somebody's calling in specifically for like an add-on, or if Emily has a conversation about add-ons there, we would she wants to make sure like she would still have the license, but you would just have a consultative conversation about the add-ons and what it can kind of entail or what they should add.
Well, you're welcome to send all your Act leads here too. Nothing? Don't get anything? See, Nick knew I was joking too.
I knew you were joking too.
It's a tough room. Okay, so, but yeah, right now, this is going to us starting November 1st. Obviously, that's going to be redirected to you guys, or there'll be some other number surfaced.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, and guys, look, we're all friends and we're all competitors. Okay, and that's the same relationship that I have with the other resellers. Okay, and I developed this site as kind of a white labeled way that everyone can promote their products, but also, show some common sense. If you guys are going to be sending someone here before November 1st, okay, just let me know what the guy's name are, and I will make sure my salespeople have the same commission breath as all of you guys. Okay, so I'll say quickly, hands off. Also, when they register it, make sure that they register it because all programs have to be not activated as in a registered, but there's a process that they have to, like a little form that they have to complete to even continue the installation. And in it, there's a place where they can say, I'm working with a reseller and that reseller is such and such. Okay, so make sure that they complete that, and make sure that if you're sending people there, just give me a quick heads up. I've been set up on Slack with you guys. You can send me a quick email. It's in absolutely no one's interest for us to get in hunting accidents. So just give us all a heads up and we'll all make money. Okay. Any other questions before I move on to Linktivity?
I was going to say, I love the question, Emily. Thanks,
Okay.
Ken.
Oh yeah, real quick, Ken. That
Yep.
Act for Mail program, it said it's compatible. The latest version was Act version 22 on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
I'll
64-bit version.
update that. Here's, and not to bore you with website details, but anytime that you have a variant, two variants, the product compatibility has to be updated in 3 places. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so I have to update it on the main product and I have to update it under each variant. I am a human being. I am married with 2 kids. My time is finite. So sometimes, almost on a daily basis, I get reminded of the products that I'm behind on my updating on. Plus, I got to do it on keystroke.ca for 100 plus products, and the other platform on 250. So I may seem that I'm overly benevolent in handing off this particular marketplace to you guys, but I'm actually looking forward to offloading it as well. Okay, because it's just the maintenance on it is insane. So you
I
catching me on
believe
that?
it. Yep.
Internally, it's actually it's kind of a joke. It's like, okay, there's another one. It's like a never-ending whack-a-mole game where I'm constantly updating programs. It's like, great, you got this one updated. Here's 5 more, and it just feels like it's inexhaustible list. And I've taught my wife how to update the back end of this, and I'm really not sure it's helped our marriage. Okay, so it really is a never-ending process. So thank you for pointing that out, and I'll get on that afterwards. Okay, so let's talk about Linktivity. So what is Linktivity? Linktivity is a set of 5 separate online programs that are meant to not only synergistically work together, but have basically one overarching objective, and that is lead generation, lead capture, and lead conversion. Okay, and here's the beauty of it. Not only does it work synergistically, okay, all the different programs working synergistically together, okay, but we're all in the same game. We're all selling a 35-year-old CRM, okay? And at some point, I'm guessing almost every single day, you'll hear a prospect say, oh yeah, that's my dad's favorite CRM, okay? So we know that, we're not perceived to be the coolest, most modern CRM out there. So we need something that actually puts a little bit of polish on the product, gives it more of a contemporary feel with current features and that. This does it. Okay, all of these do it. I make my living off of selling Act. Okay, all of my add-ons combined don't make much more than a single-digit percentage of my Act revenue. Okay, so I build things to improve the Act ecosystem. This particular suite of programs was designed to be a white labeled service that everyone can sell. That's why it has its own domain. That's why it has its own licensing system. That's why literally not anywhere is there the stink of keystroke on the website. You can go pretty much everywhere and you will not see keystroke really anywhere. I even, there's, I gotta change that. Okay, I got one email at the bottom. Okay, but generally everything is white labeled so that everyone can sell this and promote this with confidence, whether or not it is, the Act Direct team or resellers from around the world. Okay, so that's the first thing. So just to quickly go through what we're talking about and what kind of suite of programs, okay, we can offer, and tell me if I would be surprised if not every single person on this call wasn't asked for at least one or more of these functionalities when they're talking to Act about a customer. So the first thing was link to calendar. This was the first program that we made, okay? And Nick can tell you he's booked several meetings with me using it. It's basically Calendly for Act, okay? Chad, the CTO of Act, I think when we first met 2.5 years ago, he asked me to build integration for Calendly, okay, for Act. I looked at it and commercially I thought, okay, well, it costs $7 for the basic feature and $12 for the most common. How are we going to make money on top of that? Okay, per month. So I quickly realized that there wasn't commercial room to add it as an integration. So we had to build the entire functionality itself for it to be viable, and charge $5 a month. Okay, so when you add this, and we're going to show you how this works, you get like pretty much complete act specific Calendly or appointlet or book me functionality right inside of this interface that talks directly to the act database via the web API. Okay, so I'm going to get into that a little bit more, but that was kind of the flagship product. Okay, the next one was linked to events. Now, where this is what really kind of resonates with is the wealth managers, the mortgage brokers, the people that do any kind of lead generation through lunch and learns, any kind of promotional events where they're talking about their products or their services or their industry. They're going to want to have a product like Link to Events. In short, this is what it does. Link to Events allows you to very easily create a sign-up form that is published about your event. Okay, people will then go to that sign-up form and they will register for that event. By doing so, they will immediately add themselves to the database, okay, or they will link to an existing contact. All of those people will then be added to a group that's instantly created when you create an activity. So everyone's being added to the database, everyone's being grouped for easier follow-up, and then you can also set up automated follow-ups. You can set up download links for additional resources. You can set up anything you like, and you can surface this sign-up form wherever, in your email signature, your website, social media, whichever, and they click on it, up pops a form, and they can just fill it out, and all of that goes in. And then on top of all of that, you then get the ability to follow up afterwards with recordings and things like that, and you can automate all of these processes. Long story short, for the people that that host these kinds of events, they can take and just I'll talk about my because we were talking about GoToAssist, GoToMeeting, and GoToWebinar. So right now we're on GoToMeeting, okay? And GoToMeeting is great, and it costs about $30 a month. GoToWebinar, or the paid version of Zoom to support, the big, 250 or 500 people or more, that can range from $100 to $200 a month, okay, as a service. You can take Link to Events and basically for $108 a year, or I think like $108 a year, I think it's like $8 a month, okay? You can take a $30 service, add the $8 service of Link to Events, and have a $200 service with all the extra features that come with it, okay? So this is really, really popular. It saves people time, because when you're going into Zoom or you're going into webinar, you've got to download lists for follow-up. You've got to link them to the contacts in your database to indicate. All of this is done in history. All of this is done automatically, okay? The new contacts that are created, okay? And by the way, there's absolutely no tool out there that allows people to have a sign-up form that will create the contacts, okay, in ACT without paying $200 a month for the AMA middle tier, okay, which also requires a fairly steep learning curve. Okay, so that's really, really popular. So this is another lead generation tool. So anytime that you're talking to a wealth plan, this is catnip for wealth planners, guys. Like if you run into any kind of financial planner and you ask them what's their main lead generation tool, it's the lunch and learns. Okay, and what a great tool to be able to promote and harvest signups for these kinds of events. Okay, so that's number two. Link to forms. Link to forms, and I'm going to get into each one of these. I'm just kind of giving you the quick Reader's Digest on each. Link to forms provides online forms and surveys, okay, that feed directly into ACT. Now, before you guys start reacting and say, well, wait a second, doesn't AMA middle tier do that? Absolutely does. It's a lot harder, okay? And I don't know how good of sales people you guys are, but if I've got someone in the basic tier or the first tier that only wants this feature, okay, doesn't need the extra sends, doesn't need any other component that the middle tier of AMA provides, okay, telling them that they have to pay $120 more, okay, to get landing pages and surveys per month versus $180 per year. Me, at the end of the day, I want the sale. Okay, and I know that if that customer is looking for it and I'm telling them that it costs $120 a month extra, okay, that's creating friction to me closing the deal. Okay, and all I care about, and no one would be happier than me if they outgrew Link to Forums and had to go to AMA. Fantastic. Then let's talk about the extra sends. And we all know that most of the people that are driven into the higher tiers are driven there first by the need for extra sends, okay? And then the other features tend to be secondary, okay? So this allows you to deliver something that, and I'm gonna show you how it works, that delivers that kind of functionality quickly, easily, without consulting, without third-party support services, and they can literally create a form, add it to their website in like 3 minutes. Okay, and I'm going to demonstrate this so you don't have to worry if I'm indulging in some hyperbole here. Okay, link to list, guys. Any customer that you have AMA with, where you have a build version of AMA with, okay, first, second, or third tier, this should be automatic. This should be like Act for Outlook. Okay, why? Because it will literally integrate with brightverify.com, something else Chad asked us to build, okay? And the nice thing is, the biggest cost is Bright Verify, okay? And it's about 1 cent a contact. Now, if you're going to someone and saying, okay, you're gonna pay, 700 plus or close to $800 for AMA Select, or you're gonna pay $2,400 for AMA Complete, or you're going to pay close to $5,000 for AMA Advanced. Are you really not going to pay $96 a year plus 1 cent a contact to scrub your list? Because here's a fact that you guys may not want to talk about to your prospects, but they need to know. If they have more than a 5% bounce rate on an ongoing basis, they'll first be warned, and then they will be kicked off of AMA. Okay, with no refund. Okay, and this isn't because ACT themselves are particularly grumpy or unreasonable. That's the standard rule for most ESPs, email service providers, is that they'll have a couple of interventions, but they expect you to stay below a 5% bounce rate. Okay, it affects the email reputation. Remember, all of the emails are going out through your guys' servers. Okay, so this is in both parties' interests. So you tell them you have to have some kind of email scrubbing tool in place, forgetting about opt-ins and all that others, because different countries have different rules. We've obviously, you guys are probably the oldest in the world. Your current effective rule is the CAN spam from 2003, but Canada implemented CASL, the Canadian anti-spam legislation, and all of you guys have heard of GDPR. Okay, so GDPR throughout Europe. All of these different things are creating increasing restrictions and a higher duty of obligation on each of the marketers to keep a well-scrubbed list, to have better list hygiene. Okay, so just kind of put that in your bag. It's a club that you should be bringing out pretty much with every single user. And it's a quick sale, by the way. This is like, some purchase at the checkout line on the grocery. It's like, oh, quick stick of gum, no problem. They're not going to mind because you've just talked them into spending $2,400 or $800, spending $96, which, by the way, is going to save them so much time. It's insane. Okay, imagine if you did the first email bounce. Forget about email reputation. Okay, forget about the email reputation and the bounces and the lack of delivery and the possible loss of service, all of that. How much time would it take for an individual user to look up every single bounced email and update their database accordingly? Don't send to this person, this is no longer good, okay? What this program does is it connects to Bright Verify and it connects to your database, and it says focus on this group and update a field in the database to indicate whether or not the email address is valid, invalid, unknown, or a catch-all, anything at anything.com, okay? So if it's valid, great. Every single one of your marketing groups should say this field contains valid, okay? Not contains, equals valid, okay? And then you can add it to be, also include, the catch-all, okay? But anything that says invalid or unknown should never be emailed to, okay? And I talked to you about efficiencies and how much time this is going to save. This does about 3 a second. 3 a second, okay? So you're going to update on average between 2 and 3 records per second in your database. And I'm going to show you how it works, but that's how fast. So if you've got a group of 1,000 contacts, okay, and you're paying a cent each, great. You've just spent $10 and maybe 5 minutes updating all of them. Now, if you take that and you multiply, 1,000, okay, how about, 10,000? Well, that's a one-time cost of $100, okay? And you can even have this service keep checking on a scheduled basis and update it accordingly. Why? Well, over the last 3 years, we've seen a ton of people lose their job. So emails that were valid 6 months ago, maybe not so much now. Okay, so that's why, just like any other hygiene, it's not a one-off. Okay, it's something that's got to be done on an ongoing basis. Okay, so I think I've gone on long enough about that. And then the real crown jewel, and I say that because I'm most proud of it, and because, quite frankly, I've invested the most money in it, is Link to Quotes. Okay, there is no quoting solution, okay, that works with Act for Web, that works with all platforms of Act in this way. And there's literally, I lost Warren here. There's literally no quoting program that is designed just for Act. Okay, and I will tell you, I grew this business using QuoteWorks. Okay, and when I said no program that's exclusive for Act, because QuoteWorks basically is designed to work with about a dozen different CRMs, and I don't blame them. Widen the market, right? The problem with that is it limits what you can do with any particular one of them because your feature set has to support most of the CRMs, okay? And because of that, your management of your quotes is one at a time, okay? Now, I don't get to talk to rooms full of salespeople very often, but let me ask you this in kind of this shared experience. For me, the worst time of the month isn't the end of the month. The end of the month, everyone's excited, okay? The worst time of the month is the beginning. Why? Because as we all know, we've got to go through our entire pipeline and distill it down to which ones are we going to kill and which ones are we going to push, okay? And if you're using a program like QuoteWorks or any other program, you're going through, and my standard pipeline, I'm going to actually show you my production data in a bit, okay? My standard pipeline is minimum 20 to 40 quotes that are open at a time. And if I have to do each and every single one of them, that I've got to not only update the quote, but also update the corresponding opportunity. Without a word of a lie, and this is the one group I don't really have to sell this to, that can take 1 to 2 days. So the first 1 or 2 days of each month, I used to just leave my salespeople alone. I say right at the beginning, it's like, you guys know what you got to do. In 2 days, I'm going to be running pipeline reports. And if I see a lot of stuff that's open last month, we're going to have a talk. Okay, so they knew that they had about 48 hours to use pipeline. And even then there would be stragglers. Okay, And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, I'll excuse. That's gone. Why? Because now I can do it in, I don't know, less than 2 minutes, because I can do things with all of these quotes at once, because I can do them in batches, which the API supports. But QuoteWorks can't do it because it wasn't made just for ACT. It was made to work with all of them. So they can't build in that functionality that would work with Zoho, that would work with Microsoft Dynamics, that would work with Salesforce or anything like that. So they've got to go with the, the lowest denominator of all of them. Okay. So that's kind of the high level view of all of the programs. Now, from a sales point of view, because now we're going to get into sales, and thank you, Stanley, very kind of you to say, not Stanley, Mike, sorry. We're going to get into the sales of these, okay? So if you scroll down, and you guys are probably thinking that I'm a little different than other ACCs. I'm going to show you some of the resources that we've made available, okay? Here is watch animated video, okay? And you can click on this, and we've created all of these different animated videos that you can watch for each one of them here as well for all the different programs. And you can learn a little bit about them as well, but I've got a feeling you guys are going to know more about them. But if you go to something like quotes up here, okay, you're going to see a feature tour where here's your list of quotes, and this is your quote list thing. And you can click on each one of these little buttons and see the little pop-up explaining what they are. Okay. Now I know Nick is probably already thinking, damn, I wish I was that cool. With practice, Nick, with practice. Okay, so now, same kind of thing. You can go into the quote activity dashboard, okay, and you can see these different click-through activities. So you can see this was a follow-up, this was a quote was accepted, here a contact viewed the quote, here the contact was created and sent, okay? So you can see all of this different activity. I'm gonna show you this in live, but this is where you can kind of give people literally a feature tour in front of them without, if you guys have ever done a demo, you know something's never gonna, always gonna break during a demo. Okay, so this allows them to kind of consume it at their own pace and their own time, and they can familiarize themselves with a good chunk of the features. Okay, let me just see if I got the question. You got a lot of support there, Nick. Okay, so enough talk, let's actually get into the programs. Okay, and I've given myself an hour to kind of cover all of them, but if I'm going too fast, let me know, because I know how much there is to cover, and there's a fair bit. So basically, to get to this, scroll up and you click on my account. Okay, and normally you'd get a login screen, but because I'm already logged in, it brought me directly there. Okay, so then you've got all of these different options. All the ones from here on over are program specific, and here's our settings that allow you to apply settings for all of the different programs. So the first one, as you log in, and I'm going to go through some of the boring stuff at the very beginning, okay? Do not worry about memorizing this. Do not worry about, whether or not you understand it perfectly, okay? The thing that you need to just understand is that later on, when I invoke a feature, you're going to see where it came from, okay, by understanding some of the settings. Okay, so here is the first screen. You set up the ACT Web API or CAPI, which stands for Keystroke API. We developed a API that works with our add-ons, okay, so that we can widen our market. We can work with the pro customers and we can work with the off-plan customers. Why? Because I'm a capitalist and I like more customers, okay? But we prefer to sell the API because I'm a capitalist and I make a lot of money with ACT, okay? So that's our preference. So here's my API address. Here is my database name. Here's my login, and surprise, surprise, my password is not being displayed, okay? You can test the connection. You can determine server status. This will tell you the API, which version we're working on, and what API version we've got. You can restart the session or reset the session if for any reason, because all of these, when you connect with the APIs, it's a security connection. It's like logging into ACT. So if a token expires, okay, then you can reset the connection to reconnect to the API, That's as deep as into the weeds as I'm going to get, guys. Okay, now we click on general, and here's where you get into some of the settings that apply across all the programs. Okay, here's my handsome mug. Here's my title, my email address. Email address is going to apply to everything. Specifically, first was the link to calendar, because we're going to, anytime that someone books an appointment with us, they're going to have the option of downloading an ICS file to go into their Outlook. And if they do that, they've got to know with whom that's connected. And that's why the email address has got to be included in the ICS file. Okay, here is the time zone for obvious reasons. But here is date format. I told you, Nick, that I was talking to Josh yesterday. First thing he asked me is, what's this month, day, year stuff? I'm a Canadian, so it actually should be day, month, year. But, you know, I was also born and raised under the month, day, year. So that's kind of just what I understand. Australians, UK people, they don't understand from month, day, year. They understand big, bigger, biggest. So this is where you would change the setting, and this would ripple throughout all of our programs that have date-based values. Okay, so if you're dealing with someone in the UK, you're dealing with someone in Australia, you're dealing with someone in any of those other nether regions, reassure them that, you know, they've got the option to control their short date, and it's not going to pick it up from their computer or something silly like that. Okay, create subgroup. What that means is, I told you that things like link to events, link to forms, they all create groups and then organize the respondents in them so that you can more easily gather them. However, if you're in a big team like mine, okay, then you may not want to have your groups lumped in with other people's groups. So when you say create user subgroup, it means there'll be a group called ken@keystroke.ca, and then all my Linktivity groups will be within that, so my other salespeople's groups don't get mixed up in it. Okay, and that gets especially important when groups are being created based on the event or a form, and some people use the identical name. Okay, but most importantly, honestly, is to keep accidents from people deleting your groups. Okay, if someone goes into a group called ken@keystroke.ca and deletes my group, we're going to have a talk. Okay. Here's SMTP settings. I don't need to explain those. Okay, account details. Here's that's what it is. And then organizations. Organizations, we've set it up so things like link to forms and link to quotes can be organized at the group or team level. Okay, now there's two reasons for this. Things like forms and quotes, you're going to want to share. Okay, you're going to want to see other team members' results. You're going to want to report on other team members' results. You're going to want to have one template. You're going to want to have one layout. You're going to want to be able to access all the email templates as well. Okay, so then we've got to create a team for that. So not only do we do that to organize them more cohesively as a group, but we get to charge them more. Okay, we get to sell to a wider group. If it's all of these guys are siloed, then the group impact, I've got a sales team, you guys are part of a sales team. We want to be able to see how they function together, and we want to share resources like product images, product videos, as I said, all the different templates and layouts legally. Can you imagine creating a perfect layout for a quote and then everyone else having to do the exact same thing? Okay, that's crazy making. Okay, so we created this so that teams, okay, which are a higher level of service, can adopt this, and we can have, you know, greater account penetration. Okay, manage subscriptions. Okay, so not going to get super deep into the weeds because this is more of a commercial thing, but you know, here we can see how people can manage all of their subscriptions. Okay, this looks a little long because I manage a lot of the resellers NFRs, so mine's a little bit messier than normal. Okay, but you can drill down and manage each one of your products based on a per product basis. You can purchase it. How friendly is this looking, Nick? Kind of makes you want to buy it, doesn't it? You don't even know what it is yet. Okay, and here's the best part, is redeem. Okay, now, not to make myself sound super great, I'll leave you to come to that conclusion on your own, but I built this feature just for you guys. And the reason that this is just for you guys is you guys will be provided a stockpile of license keys that you guys can sell and dispense. So all they've got to do is set up a trial, click manage subscriptions and redeem, and enter in the license key that you give them. Okay, and then they can use that for a new subscription or renewing an existing subscription. So this feature that literally took us about a week and a half to build, okay, was strictly for you guys, leading with you guys, and then later for people like Act Today, because there's not a whole lot of really good sales teams out there. Okay, so that is all I'm going to talk about on that. Now, let's go to Link to Calendar. Link to Calendar probably requires the least explanation, but let me show you how it can be surfaced on a website. Okay, so we scroll down to our About Us. Here's my happy team. Here's a couple of Christmas parties ago. Remember when we used to get together for Christmas? Yeah, me neither. Okay, so now we scroll down to the team, and right at the bottom, I've got book a time with me. Click here. This automatically pops up. It shows the time zone. I was going to pick on Nick because he kind of ignored this the first time. Okay, but this shows the availability that I have for today. And by the way, okay, you can actually set it up. You can control all the different times, dates. You can set up your own blacklists. You can say, don't allow someone to book an appointment with me today. Okay, because that drives me crazy sometimes where I'll miss my email notification. And all of a sudden I'll click on my calendar. It's like, I got an appointment in 5 minutes with who? Okay, but they can kind of click through here. Okay, it's Saturday, and you can click on any particular day. And if you want to look at it from a weekly standpoint, you can look at it like that. And then you just click on this, and it allows you to put in your details. Bob's your uncle. It goes right into your ACT database, and it notifies you by email, and it prompts them up on the screen to download the ICS. Okay, so that's about it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. The biggest thing that I can say is that our emphasis over the last little while is to make it responsive so that it can be consumed on all mobile devices, whether it's phone or tablet, Mac, Windows, you name it. It's friendly for all of them. They can set the time slots. I want to book a 90-minute, 60-minute. You can even set the time zone, whichever. Okay, toggle around, go to different months, whichever. Okay, it's super, super flexible and incredibly easy. Okay, so just to kind of give you, I'll book something for myself. Okay. Okay, and I'll say a call. You can control the activities because no one's going to tell me that I got to be at their office at a particular time. So I say call or conference call, and this will be a test. And I'm going to just say test for the team, create. Okay, here's where they download the ICS and it goes directly in. Okay, now what do I get? Okay, I get an appointment notice immediately. And now let's go to, hold on, I gotta jump onto my cloud here. Okay, I didn't test this for a second. I just gotta, because I'm on my local workstation, which means that I'm gonna go through my MFA here. Okay, now if I go to my calendar, you guys can see there's the appointment. Okay, right there. Test, that's how fast it works. Okay, it's absolutely instant, and that's the web API at work, guys. Oh, wait a second.
I don't think you're sharing that. No, you're good.
I had it on the wrong screen. My bad. Honestly, I've done this before. Okay, so over here, here's where the appointment is. I knew something was wrong by Nick's confused look. Thank you for that, Nick. So you can see here, it's automatically created. Okay, and the reason I had to pull this up because this is the database that our API is connected to, which is on our cloud. Okay, so it's that fast. Less than a second, that's created. Now, if that person had not been in my database, then that contact would be created as well. Okay, and that would also be written to their history. And if they make any comments, that would be included in the activity. So just to kind of show you, here's what you get. Here's all the contact details. Here's the little message. Okay, and you get everything. Here's the time, you name it. Okay, what more can you ask for if you are in, how many industries would you be in where the average person is playing email ping pong with their prospects? Okay, it's really any industry. Okay, back and forth. Think about someone that actually makes money with their time. Think about groomers that are looking for people to book appointments with them. Okay, think about any industry that's making money with their time. So that's why our slogan for this is turn your time into money. Okay. So any questions on that? Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so let's go into link to events. Link to events, bit of an edge case, but for the people that need it, they're gonna love it, okay? So basically, I'm gonna edit one, okay? Actually, no, I'll create a new event. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say Nick's birthday party, and I'm gonna say, I'll put in something like a GoToMeeting address, okay? Or I'll put in okay, and then I will say it'll be the 30th of the month. It's going to last 60 minutes, and I'll say activity type is an appointment. Okay, now when I click on create event, it will automatically create that event in Act. Okay, so in my calendar, I'm going to have a very confusing activity called Nick's birthday party, okay, for September 30th, which I promise you I will go out and delete. Okay, but now I can start getting into the more of the details. Okay, how long is it? What type is it? Okay, how long to keep the submissions? Add contacts to activity. The reason that we put this little checkbox, because it will create an activity, and everyone that signs up, it will add them to that activity. If you've ever seen Act, you can see a bunch of contacts added to an activity. Well, let me tell you a painful lesson that I discovered the hard way. Act has a hard limit of 150 contacts that can be added to an activity. Once you hit that, you can't add any more. Okay, so Nick's a popular guy. We can anticipate that we'll have more than 150 signups for his birthday party. Okay, so we're going to want to clear that because otherwise the 151st person won't be able to get in. Carlin says 400. I think you might be even lowballing it. Okay, so here's where you put in the party description. Here's where you would put in an event photo. Keep it tasteful, guys. Okay, drop the image in here. Here's where you can put up upcoming events. Now, we put this in because if you're having regular lunch and learns or regular events, you may want to promote where people can actually look back and find, you know, a schedule of other events that you've got planned. Okay, so then you've got a document link. So if you've got things that they need to download in advance, information link, click to this to learn more about the event. Send reminders before the event. This is the number of hours. Okay. Send follow-up emails, enable, and then set the email, you know, write it up saying, I hope you enjoyed the event. Please click on my link to calendar event if you would like to talk about it. See how they can work together? If you put in, here's my link to calendar link, please let me know if there's anything that we can, that you're interested in talking about. Okay. And then that's it. And then it automatically will create. Here is your URL. You can copy this. Let me just save. You copy this, and boom. Here's their event sign up page. It looks boring because I haven't added any specifics. Okay, but you can add graphics, format it up a little bit. All of this is available, but that's, for a lot of people, creating a sign up page ain't a small thing. Okay, and where does it go? Most everyone, and I'm going to get into this later, okay, but if you, one of the secrets we have for selling ACT and selling our products, when we're dealing with a prospect, the first thing we do is we go to their website and we check their contact us page. And we ask them, where does this data go? They say, I don't know, I think I just get an email. Okay, and then what happens? Well, then we got to type it in. And then what happens? Okay, then we got to schedule a follow-up. And I say to them, okay, that sounds like a lot of work and a lot of steps to miss. What if for 15 months we did all that for you? That sounds good. Okay. At that point, the hook is set. Okay, it's your deal to lose. And all you've done is looked at their website and said, wow, you've got a contact form that's probably a bridge to nowhere, isn't it? Yeah. Where are your CTAs on the website? You got something on the homepage that allows people to express an interest? Because here's what I know about websites. Okay, if I have any unanswered questions and I don't really have an opportunity to submit them, I'm going to go to someone else's page that is smart enough to ask me. Okay, and I'm going to keep looking at the different websites until I feel that I have been listened to. So if you put a CTA on the homepage, a call to action, allows people to put in a form, fill it in, gives them the immediate feedback that, you know, they have been responded to, or they're, you know, they're in queue. That's going to lead people, oh, okay, I'm done, I'll just wait. Okay, their search is over. The good thing is, though, that isn't some kind of false hope, because on the Link to Forms product that I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, that's added them to your database and created a follow-up activity. And it's like, thank you, where do I sign? Okay. So let's go to, so that's basically it for Link to Events. Link to Forms. So same kind of thing, but I'm going to show you some things that are pretty cool. When you get a form, let's go to our website. Okay. Standard forms, careers. Okay. Here's a form. This is all, see, powered by Linktivity. This is what the form looks like. Okay. They fill it all out. And here's some questions. You can have drop downs. You can have attached files. Guys, if you get a recruiter, and recruiters love ACT, okay? You get a recruiter and say, all I want to do is capture people from the outside looking for jobs and have them upload their resume. Boom, done, $15 a month, okay? Allows them to fill it out, add it to the database, attaches their resume to their contact all in one step, and schedules a follow-up for you to contact them. Okay, how much is that again? $15 a month. Where do I sign? Okay, all with the standard CAPTCHA capabilities. Now this is a big form. Okay, so not everyone is going to have need for big forms, but let me show you. I believe a form should be in every single product page. So let's go to ACT here. Oh, let's go to ACT software. Okay. Oh, I forgot I just made this full page. Let's go to, okay. So here's thing. What about a little contact us form on every single page? Okay. You want to provide them as much information to answer as many of their unasked questions as possible. But in truth, you also want them to contact you because your website is a lead generation tool, right? So if they got any questions, like, yeah, have any questions about Act 24 here? This is linked to forums. You can see it down here. What have you noticed? It seamlessly fits into this website. It doesn't look like a third-party product. Okay. I've even allowed, I've got color coordinations and controls, which I'm going to show you in a minute, to exact color match my buttons to the feel of this. And if you think, okay, Ken, it's a white background, big deal, I'm not impressed. Maybe I'm channeling Nick with that disapproval here. Let's see it look at even more impressive. Here I've got it transparently blending in to a row on the website. Ready to act now? Yeah, I said it. Here's all the different products that they can buy. Have a question first. Here's where they can enter it in. Button is color matched. And I've created a transparency background so it just blends directly into the background. Okay, so this can be done anywhere, any place. Okay, it can be what we call the compact version here, where you can actually have little field hints inside. Okay, you see how all the field names are actually inside it? This is called the compact layout. Okay, if you go back to the careers page, you'll see that the field labels are outside the field. Okay, and that's because it's using a different style that has headers. You can control borders, you can control the background. So you might want to, not clutter up the actual fields and have it feel like it's a bit more of a page-wide form. So in layout terms, whether you're using Joomla or WordPress, all web pages are divided into 12. Okay, so what you're looking at here is 9 wide and a column that's 3 wide. Okay, so you can build one that's 3 wide or 2 wide, one that's 12 wide, 9 wide, whichever. Let me actually show you the Linktivity product page. Okay, where here's another video. We've got a link to forms one here. We've got a link to forms here. You can create it in a light box so it pops up, or you can go to a full page that's elsewhere. Okay, so let me show you how you do that. So the first thing I'm going to do, and Nick, I want you to time me. Let me know when to start. He's pulling out his clock. Go. Okay, so here we're going to call this Nick's party. Okay. So it's creating the form and it's simultaneously creating the group and act. Okay. So now here, I can put in the name of the URL, and let's call this, just call it Nick. I want to validate to make sure that it's available. It's available. I can put in the, let's just say, we'll just put in the add-on conference image here, introductory tests, blah, blah. Okay, column count, I want to be 2 column wide or 1 column wide. Make history private and prevent multiple submissions. If you guys are sending out a survey, especially an employee survey, you may not want other people to see other people's results, and you may not want to have who's your favorite boss and have someone put Nick 32 times. Okay, so this will allow prevent multiple submissions. And then the team edition allows you to assign the form to another user. Okay, so all the results go to them. All the scheduled feedback or responses go to them. Okay, and then automatically schedule a follow-up. How many days afterwards? Schedule a call. So if you say, are you interested in this product, whichever, anyone that fills this out, you can make sure that this is, you have an automatic follow-up scheduled. Okay, I'm killing my timing here. Okay, contact fields. What fields do I want? Okay, I can quickly say, well, I don't want to have too many fields, so I'm going to just eliminate this and say I don't need the address. I don't really want company. Okay, so I just want these ones. That's fine. I can see the different column lengths over here. the different field types. Click on save. Now I want to go to questions. Okay, so here's a bunch of questions. I put in some sample types, but if you click on here, the kind of questions you've got a section header, an empty space, standard open text. Okay, but that's kind of like a character field. And then an open-ended is like a memo field. And then you got drop down. So you just enter these things and this becomes your drop down. Input required, answer hint. So this kind of goes into the field. Say, you want to indicate your favorite fruit here. Okay. Allow multiple selections. So that means that you can actually, it will come up as check boxes, allowing you to pick multiple ones. And then allow free-form text. This is a beautiful feature because what that means is allow free-form text. Normally, if you don't check this, your choices are limited to the list that's being displayed. But if you click on this, people can actually write in their own answer. Okay, so that's fine. And I'll just kind of go with these. Okay, I'm going to actually add a question that uses a different format. I'm going to say rating scale. Okay. I won't share the results of this with you, Nick. Okay, we'll make sure it's inputs required so everyone's okay. And now we're going to add one more, which is a slider. Okay. Okay. Save and close. Okay. Now appearance. This is where you can choose one of three basic layouts. The default, which is what you saw under the careers page, the compact, okay, where you see all the field labels are inside the field, okay, and could be compressed in a very small space, okay, and then the printable, okay, which actually looks like a form on a page, like a printable page, okay, and then this is where you get into customized style. Okay, now at any point you can click on preview and see it. Okay, here's where you can see the slider. Here's where you can see out of 5, how much do you really like Nick? Okay, and here's where you've got all the results. Okay, okay, and here's where you can put in specific color codes for different aspects of it. Okay, but I'm fine with this. So now what I'm going to do, it's going to go back to questions. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back here. So you've got two ways of embedding a form into a website. One, if we go back here and we click on my link to forms page. Okay, you've got, come on. Okay, oh, it's loading it here. Okay, so I've got this page of this kind, and I've got this kind, and now I've got ones where I can click up on a light box. This would use a link, and then I've got this, which would be a link as well. Here's the actual address. However, websites don't typically work with links. So all you've got to do is say, okay, I know that I'm going to have to embed this into my website. So I click here and copy code. Okay, copy code. Now I can go into my website. Okay, and I'll just quickly go into the About Us. Okay, so here's the back end of our website. If I wanted to demonstrate something at the very bottom, I would say something like, where is it? Some of them are called iframes. Others are called, depending on what you're using, it's an iframe with WordPress, raw HTML, okay? And now I just click on here. Now let's go back. This is under the About Us page. Oops. Little glitches in Joomla sometimes. And here's my form. Okay. That's how easy it could be. Now, I don't like the gray background, so I'm gonna obviously, modify that. I don't like the fact that it's, a little bit left justified, but I can do all those little tweaks. But Nick, how long? 7 minutes and 39 seconds. And that was with me explaining every single step. I've posted a form in less than 3 minutes. Okay, so if you guys think that you can do an AMA form in under 7.5 minutes, good on you. Okay, most act consultants can't. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly go in here, disable, save and close. And now it's gone. Okay, that's how quickly you can add a form. Okay, so now that's about as much as I can get into, because we need to spend the last portion of this talking about what's really, I'm going to show you a link to quotes briefly, okay? Or not link to quotes, email. So or link to list here. I'm going to click on link to list. Okay, here's where I'm going to create a new one. I just had a one that I did for Automator. I did a demo yesterday. I'm going to create this. We're going to call this Automator webinar. Okay, and here, the moment I type it in, it's finding my group. I know what you're thinking. Ken, you've never been more cold to me. I get that a lot, okay? And now I'm gonna click on, you've got scan mode, only process unverified contacts. What that means is only process ones that I haven't processed before. Remember I said some people's emails go bad? Okay, well, for the sake of costs and demos, I'm not going to process ones that are already there, okay? And then verify automatically means, do I want to set this to keep repeating itself on an ongoing basis, which is really good for a group like new contacts that you're constantly adding and want to scrub. You can actually set the new contacts group to verify on a weekly basis, okay? But now I'm going to just click on create, okay? And here's my automator. I can edit, I can delete. I'm going to click on run. Okay, this email list is now ready to be processed. Please verify now. And we really do, because it's going to cost people money. We want to say, are you sure? Are you really, really sure? So we click on OK. So here's 108 lists, 108 in the contact group. It's processing. Okay, the first 5 to 10 are going to take probably the most time, and then you're going to see it start jumping. Okay, but this shouldn't take more than, yep, it's done. Okay, so guys, we have just updated 108 contacts. Okay, now when you are talking to people, you can say, yeah, I've seen it work. It really is that cool. Okay, so imagine if you've got thousands of contacts that are unscrubbed, unverified, and you say, guys, you're spending $2,400 on AMA Complete, great investment. Let's spend $96 and have the integration so you never have to worry about this. And then we're going to teach you how to use groups and everything, and it's going to be a fantastic experience all around because it works that fast. Okay, I got a feeling that you guys will have an easy time selling that. So now let's go to the really cool thing, my particular favorite. Link to quotes. Okay, I'm going to clear all my lookups, and I'm going to show you our production database. Okay, this is the keystroke sales pipeline, everything, whatever you want to call it. So here is all of the quotes that we've got open. You can see that we've got, I've got my filters across the top, and we've only been using this as a team since July 1st. I used it several months before, and as I was telling Nick the other day, on July 1st, I said, you guys ripping the Band-Aid off, no more quote works. On July 1st, we're all switching over to link to quotes, okay? So now I'm gonna say open. So now I see 132,000, okay? I'm gonna say, I wanna see all the ones that are valid until this month, 112, okay? So I got $112,000 with a weighted probability of 40,000. Don't know if that's super accurate. A lot of the times they'll be a little pessimistic. Minimum value is 120, maximum value is 14 and change. The average quote is 1,905, okay? So this is all right there the moment that I log in. Now, you guys probably notice that there's a little bar going up across the top, keeping track of my progress towards quota. It's kind of like Nick watching you at all times, okay? So here's Nick, his glaring nosy eyes, showing your progress towards quota. Here's halfway. I've sold $8,900 this month. I'm not even really in sales, but I'm $8,900 towards my $20,000 quota. It's showing me I've got 11,070 to go. Every single time I log in, I see that peering, judging glare of Nick, okay? And you guys will too. So you've got that. Now, here's where you guys are going to begin to salivate, okay? You send out quotes. The big thing that you need to know is, after I send them out, what's going on? Okay, well, I can click on my activity dashboard. This just, remember, Nick, when I was demoing, I had accepted quotes right on the fly. Here's another quote, 575 bucks. Okay, let's see what produced this. Okay, I can see that on July 15th, Sylvia sent out a quote for support. The contact viewed it. On 4 days later, on the 19th, viewed it again, okay? Sent out the, looks like a reminder was sent out, a few more views, quote was accepted, okay? An immediate follow-up activity was scheduled automatically in ACT. Contact viewed the quote a few more times and just viewed it now, okay? So we can see that now in this particular case, this is saying that the quote was accepted on July 27th, okay? That's a while ago. Now I've noticed that he's looked at this right now. What that says to me is one of two things. One, he wants to buy more, okay? So he's looking at the cost of it. And this is triggering an immediate response from Sylvia. Let's follow up on this. Why are they looking at a quote they accepted 2 months ago? Okay, so that's the kind of feedback that I can see there. Now let's take a look at this one here. This is a particularly big one. Actually, no, it isn't. It looks like it's shrunk down. So this one, I can see that the contact viewed the quotes a couple of times 2 weeks ago and then this morning. Okay, now you're probably wondering, how do you know all of this? Because you're sending out quotes that are links, and I'm going to show you that. But you're also wondering, well, is this recorded in ACT? Yes, every single one of these actions are recorded to the history of the opportunity that the quote simultaneously creates, okay? So every single bit writes back to ACT, every bit, okay? So you've got all of this, and you've got all this different things, and you can also set it so that I want to send out a reminder a day before the quote expires. You can set that, and an automated reminder goes out. I want to create an activity after every quote that I create. I want to create an activity after every time it's accepted. All of these different things you can build in automation for, okay? So Now let's show you the part that Nick likes. So here I can immediately see how everyone is doing. Oh, look, I'm number 1. Okay, Victor, it's his birthday today. I'll cut him a bit of slack. If I brush across here, okay, I can see all the different results. Okay, I see each person here, and I've got the ability to position that report wherever I want. And if I don't find a report that interests me, I can just collapse it. Okay, and every single filter, every setting that you put, okay, is sticky. So the next time you go back, you're going to see it. Okay, so those are the 3 main action parts. But talking about quotes and not doing one is a bit of a waste. So let's actually create a quote and see what fun we can have. So I'm going to create here test quote for Nick. Okay, now when I create a quote, let me just bring up my email here. Oh, by the way, every single time that someone completes a form, I get an email like this. This is someone registering for the add-on conference. Okay, so I'm going to click here. Okay, so whenever I create a quote, I've got one of 3 options. Create it from scratch, use an existing opportunity. So let's say I've already created the opportunity, or Nick has created the opportunity for you. You can convert that opportunity to a quote, or create one from template. The users love this, okay? They click this, they've got a bunch of pre-formatted templates. Okay, so let's say you guys and I, we're creating similar type quotes many times a day, okay? Premium with hosting and Orange Care, Act Pro without support, VIPs, AMA templates, okay? Here's a bunch of French quotes, all of the same kind of quotes over and over again. So if I want to create one right away, okay, I can just do it based on a quote that I've created in the past that I converted into a template, okay? And I'll show you how to do that, but I'm going to create one from scratch. Create quote, and here's the quote template. I'm going to click on, I need a contact, so I'm going to click here. I'm going to create, say, Nick. I just copied his email in. I can go by his name, but emails are always more accurate. I click on OK, and it finds him. Now, if I don't have a contact in a database, let's say someone just handed me a business card, and I say, I want a quote. You can click on Create the Contact on the fly. This is the only quoting solution I'm aware of on the market working with Act that allows you to create contacts on the fly. Okay, so I can click on this and it allows me pretty much like a secondary contact view, but I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to click on Apply. I've got the ability to also add a ship to, so I'm going to put in Lindsay. He's going to be scratching his head on that. I'm going to select currency. You guys don't pay any of our sales taxes. Okay. Now, a couple of features I've added since I demoed this for you, Nick. We now have the ability to have the sales rep and a prepared buy. So let's say Nick, being the micromanager that he is, wants to take a quote, prepare it for you, and then hand it off to Mike. Maybe he's just not convinced Mike can do it perfectly, but Mike will follow it up like a monster, okay? So he's going to put in prepared by himself and assign it to Mike because Mike's a real go-getter, okay? And then he's going to put valid until. If you put 0 on the deposit, it removes the deposit line, or you can put in 50% or whatever makes sense to you, okay? Now you've created the bulk of it. Now you'll see across the top, you've got opportunity details, activities. Let's start with adding a single product. I'm going to click on product. I'm going to type in Act and it's going to show me all the different ACT. There's like one from the good old days, ACT Growth Suite Professional, but that's a little dated. Okay, let's say ACT Automation Complete. Okay, and now I'm going to click on Edit Description. This is from my product database, so I've got the ability to change this, and any changes I make, I can click on Update. I want to have an image, like a little thumbnail. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to click on my AMA. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, here's the product link. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's save as. Oh, actually, I want to have complete. If you're wondering, yeah, I've got some really good graphic artists. Okay, so now I click on here. Here's all the images that I have in my library. I don't have any that I care about, so I'm going to click on OK. And I'm going to grab this one. And I'm going to say, thank you. Let's select that one. And now this is part of my thumbnail. Okay, so here's my cost. And here's the name. Now I want to make this this quote or this particular product optional. Okay, so if I send a quote, I want the customer to say, maybe not, I'll just take the regular ACT. So I'm going to put that, remove this group because I would include that. I'm going to just put in product. Okay. I want it up on the top. Okay, and now I'm going to click on save. Now, the moment you see this quote saved, that means an opportunity has been created under Nick's and Lindsay's name. And if I click on here, I can see that here's the quote, here's the weighted probability, but this isn't the right process. So I'm going to say the ACT product sales cycle and the quotation sales cycle probability goes back up to 50%. Okay. Now, if I want to click on activities, I haven't sent it yet, so the only thing I'm going to see is that it's been created. Okay. So now I've got the quote. You're thinking, okay, a quote's a quote, but I want to add a support plan and I want to separate support plans from the products. Okay. You can see here how this is optional, but what I want to do is I want to create a subheader. I want to call this ACT products. And I want to move this up here. Okay, and now I want to create another one. Okay, now click on product, and I'm going to type in VIP. Okay, and I'm going to say annual VIP support plan. I'm going to click on save. Okay, let's do a quick preview. Okay, I could see here that I don't have a thumbnail, but I've got a thumbnail here. And anytime the thumbnail, you click on the thumbnail, it expands. Okay, here's a description. Got all of this, but I want to put a thumbnail here. Okay, do you notice here that if I click on this, it takes me automatically to this. So the customer can learn more about it. But I want them to learn more about this. And let's see here. I'm going to now go into this one. I don't like the italics, so I'm going to remove that. I'm going to put the product link in here. And now let's go to, let's see, here's the ACT product right there, select. So now I've dressed it up a little bit. So you click on here, you can see now there's a product. Okay. Now you can see how you've got optional support. It's separated from Act Products. But now I want to dress it up a little further. I want to put in an image that actually, let's say drop list. Okay, Act V24. Okay, and I'm going to say, because I'm really that cool, I want to add a video. Okay, let's say there isn't anyone that's relevant, but I'll just say quick task here for now. Okay, now let's see what the quote looks like. Okay, you can see I've got a banner here. Doesn't that dress it up nicely? Okay, and it's like, oh, what's this about? Whoa, I'm watching a video right inside of my quote. Nick, on your best day, you've never been that cool, have you? Okay, I think we can all say that. So now we go back. I think, okay, it's pretty much done. Let's send it out. Okay, I can save and close, save and send. I've got more options. Let's say that I'm talking to Nick over the phone. It's like, yeah, Ken, give me 10. I could accept the quote internally. I can take this quote because I know that I'm going to convert it into a bunch of I'm going to use this quote format over and over again. I can save it as a quote template. I can immediately, if I've created a bunch of different quotes for this guy and he keeps requesting changes, I can click on save to history. So it copies versions of it each and every single time. Okay. I can accept the quote. I can delete the quote. But now I just want to save it and send. Okay. Now, keep in mind, every single time this is hitting the API, and two things. One, all of these changes are instant. So they're writing to the database instantly. At this point, it's finalizing the API, or sorry, it's finalizing the opportunity. It is updating the opportunity. Here is where now you see both Nick and Lindsay, okay, are in the to line, and don't want to confuse Lindsay too much. Now I can select here from all of my different email templates. I want to use one that's Act Premium related. Here's the link. I've got the option to attach the PDF of the quote as well. I don't like to do that because then I don't know if they're opening up the PDF versus clicking on the link. Okay, but sometimes people will insist on it. And here's where I've got the option to add additional literature to the quote on the fly. So if I want to upload from my computer, maybe terms and conditions or whatever, I can do that. And then I can see select online document where I may have a library of documents. Here's like an ACT brochure. Let's select that. Okay. And now I'm going to click on send. Okay. So Nick, this is going to hit your inbox. And I'm going to ask you, once you get it, to open it so we can actually see the results. The first result is going to be, so I bring my email around here. I get copied on the quote, okay? So this is what the quote is gonna look like to Nick, okay? He sees a brochure, you can click on that. It's coming off, you can see this, okay? He can see all this. Now I'm not gonna click on this, okay, but that's what he's gonna get. Now, if I go back to my activity dashboard, okay, I see a test quote has been sent. And if I go to activities, I can see that it has been sent to these two, okay? Now, when Nick opens it, have you had a chance to open it yet, Nick?
I got the email. I can't take it.
Click on the link.
There we go.
Okay.
I'm in.
So you see here, I just clicked on refresh. And now that I've got contact has viewed the quote. How cool is that? Okay. So now let's say that I'm at the end of the month. Okay. You don't have to accept it. I'm at the end of the month and I'm thinking, where am I going to get my next leads from? Okay. So I say, okay, show me all the leads in the last month that I've sent quotes to that haven't viewed them. Okay. Let's send them out a reminder. Not having the selected activity, quote viewed, past 30 days, and I'm going to say me. Okay. All these people, well, let's go with open because I don't really need to send something. Okay. So here's all the people that I've sent quotes to in the last 30 days that haven't viewed them. Okay. So now I click on here, create lookup and quote list. I select all of these guys. One fell swoop. I'm going to email all of them at once. And I'm going to say, send my manual quote reminder. Boom. It's going to go out to all of them. Okay. And then I'll be able to sit back and watch the activity of all these. I'm going to clear this. Okay. Sit back and see all of the activity. Okay. Now, Nick, can you accept the quote, please?
Yeah, give me a second. I just exited out of it. There it is.
I understand you got to find your credit card. Okay. So while he's doing that, let's talk about, we've got the templates here. These are all the templates that we've converted an existing quote into a template that we can reuse. Here's our product database that we can either import in from ACT, the ACT product list, import in from a spreadsheet that you export maybe from QuoteWorks or from QuickBooks, I should say. Here's your image database. You can see here out of all of these images, okay, out of all of these images, I've only used 7% of my quota, as you can see up here, okay? And then my documents as well. If I wanted to go to settings and change the layout, I did this for someone the other day. They were just so impressed. On settings, come on. I go to layouts and I click on here. So this is where you put in your logo. Here's where you put in your notes, acceptance text that they will see when they accept the quote. Here's all your terms and conditions, which I haven't showed you yet. Closing text. So let's actually take a look at the quote. Go back to activity dashboard. Now you can see Nick has accepted it. It's turned it to green. Why? Money's green, right? Even in Canada sometimes. Okay, so now let's take a look. A follow-up activity has been scheduled for me automatically. Okay, let me just go update. Okay, I'll be getting an email shortly. Okay, confirming this. This has now closed the opportunity. If I click in here, okay. Opportunity details, actual close date is today. Okay, this is fully done. You can see the weighted probability is now 100%. If I go to the activities, quote is accepted. I can see everything. Okay, if I want to preview, got 2 minutes left, Nick. But I think we've pretty much covered the bulk of it. So you can see all of this. It's auto-generated the quote number. Here's all the sales tax information, currency, my handsome mug. Okay, all of this. You've got the video, deposit required, indicated stamped accepted. Here is the, if, let's say that you want to have terms and conditions. Here, merchandise. Wouldn't you guys love this? Merchandise compatibility? What do you mean it won't work on my Mac? Fuck off. Okay, so now you've got all that covered. And let's say right within the quote, you have any questions? Click here to book a time with me to discuss. Boom. How have I done? Can I click on my on a customer satisfaction survey? Remember I said at the very beginning, all these programs were tied together to synergistically, support each other. So here's a form showing that they can fill out and give me the feedback I want. Okay, here's the acceptance details. Accepted by Nick, email such and such, date, no PO number, no comments given. That's rare for you, Nick. And here's the IP address. Okay. Now, if he had left all of this information, all of that would be gone. You can see that it's accepted, and now it's ready to bill. If I want to download it, I can do so. If I want to print it, I can do so. And this is done. You can see now that the acceptance area for putting in this information is now gone. And that is it. I want to be respectful of your time. I've come in at 12:59. Let's see if there's 1 minute of questions. Emily says it's pretty. Thank you very much, Emily. Carlin gave another vote of confidence to Nick and his popularity. There's a disturbing number of comments relating to your popularity, Nick. Maybe you'll follow up with that.
I pay him to say it, so.
Okay. Any, but let's open this up. We got a minute or so. Any questions, comments?
There's a lot to take in. Ken, if questions do come up, we
You
can
got
just.
me on Slack, email, whichever. Okay.
Perfect.
Guys, my self-interest in this is fairly self-evident. I make money every time you sell it. Now, here's the best thing I want you guys to be really, really clear on. Okay, click on home. Normally, all of these products added together are $600. Okay, you can bundle all of them for $300. So think about that. $25, the first $25 per month goes to getting every single one of these products. And then once you've got that in here, and by the way, I got my email confirming that it's accepted. Okay. Much like me, I guess it has problems crossing the border. Okay. So with that, now you can see $300. So $25, they get all of these. And then the nice thing there is, it's like, well, maybe some of the users want link to calendar. Maybe all of the users want link to quotes, whichever. A lot of these things like link to forms and link to list, okay, they're what we call account-based products. Most people will only need one, okay? So you get the first $300, then you're just, and link to events is often the same way as well. You can get a lot of the people after that for just link to calendar, link to quotes, that kind of thing. And they're not buying all the other programs, but you can get really decent account penetration that you couldn't have otherwise got. Well, I want link to calendar, but does that mean I need an ACK license? Yeah, it kind of does. What if I'm a browse user? Can I use that? No, I can't. Okay, they all have to have web API permission. They all have to be standard users, all of that. So you're now in a position where you've got people excited about really, really cool features, and the natural gravity of all of that is them buying more licenses. Okay, and making it stickier, because once they're using this as part of their day-to-day workflow, honest to God, separation, like the barrier to exit will be so high, it'll literally cause them physical pain. And that's what we want. We want to have higher sales, we want to be cool, and we want to have higher retention. And this achieves all of them. So you guys have listened to my voice for about 2 hours, which is about, I don't know, 90 minutes beyond most people's saturation point. So I want to be respectful of that and allow you guys to get back to your day, maybe take a stiff drink. But all of these things you can read up on at linktivity.net, watch the videos, learn a little bit more about it. I don't know if all these SKUs are immediately available, but what you guys can do right now is you can talk them up. in terms of making people understand that this isn't your father's CRM anymore. Okay, this is cool, this is contemporary, and you're going to want to be at the table. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks, Ken. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great job, Ken. Thank you.
Chat
Thank you.
soon, but yeah, just what Ken said. This is a great thing to start talking about and get excited about. So.
And don't forget what we've talked about with the marketplace. Okay, like definitely take a visit around that, quick little tool so you can maybe familiarize yourself. But I want to reiterate what Nick said. Do not think that this is some college exam that you got to cram in an understanding of all the products. Really learn them on a need to know basis, because there's too many of them. Okay, if you try to learn all of them, you'll learn none of them. Okay, so just familiarize yourself with the different categories, drill down on the ones that interest you, just get a kind of a little sample so you can kind of understand to provide kind of a high level response. And then as time and interests increase, then you'll get a better understanding of the wider portfolio that's available. But please don't think that you need to understand even 50% of them or 25% of them, because there's just too many with too many different variables. What I talked to you about API, SDK, some of the licensing differences between per user, per year, and per activation, that's all you really need to know at this point, okay? Thank you all. I'll let you guys all go. I really appreciate your time, and happy selling.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ken.
Yeah, have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.